In American folklore, the legend of Babe Ruth casts a shadow that stretches far beyond the confines of the baseball diamond. But before he became the Sultan of SWAT, before he etched his name in the annals of baseball history, George Herman Ruth Jr. was just a boy, a precocious, larger-than-life figure even in his tender youth. Born to humble beginnings on February 6, 1895, in Baltimore, Maryland, young George's path to greatness was anything but conventional. Raised in the gritty streets of the Pigtown neighborhood, his upbringing was marked by hardship. His parents worked tirelessly to make ends meet, leaving him to wander the streets, finding solace in the simple pleasures of childhood. But it was on the diamond where he truly found his calling. A natural athlete with a raw, untapped talent, he honed his skills in the sandlots and back alleys of Baltimore. His prowess on the field quickly caught the eye of local coaches and scouts who marveled at his prodigious strength. Yet for all his athletic prowess, George was far from a model student. His rebellious nature often landed him in trouble, and he struggled to find his place in the rigid structure of the classroom. But even as he clashed with authority, his passion for the game burned bright. He played in the minor leagues for a short time before being signed by the Boston Red Sox as a pitcher. He pitched for the Sox for 5 seasons before being traded to the New York Yankees. It was there where he truly made his mark. He captivated fans with his power-slugging and charismatic personality. He was one of the most iconic and influential figures in baseball history. The 1910s heralded an epoch of both tradition and tumult for the grand old game. The establishment of the Federal League in 1913 challenged the monopoly of the American and National Leagues. At the turn of the century, offensive production grinded to a halt. During the 19th century, it was common for one baseball to be used for an entire game, but due to a significant rule change, baseballs were replaced as they became damaged. In the modern era, the MLB uses around 100 baseballs for a single game. Baseballs that have been used for a long time become softer, making them more difficult to hit far. Pitchers would even go so far as to scuffing up balls on purpose, making the seam split, causing them to dance around in the air. These balls were hard enough to hit, but to make matters worse, pitchers would spit their tobacco on the ball to make it darker and harder to see. This all came crashing to a halt when Cleveland Indians player Ray Chapman was hit in the head by pitcher Carl Mays. He died on August 17, 1920. He is the first and only baseball player to ever die as a result of a major league game. His death led to several rule changes surrounding pitching, most notably having umpires replace baseballs when they become too worn. That said, it would take another 50 years before the league required players to wear helmets. The period between 1900 and 1920 is known as the dead ball era. It is defined by low-scoring games. After Chapman's death and the subsequent rule changes, the game was livened up, and offensive production increased. As the shadow of war passed and the decade drew to a close, baseball stood poised on the cusp of a new era. And yet, the shocking revelation that members of the Chicago White Sox had colluded to fix the World Series shook the very foundations of the game, calling into question its integrity. Baseball needed someone to bring it into the new era. In the 1921 season, Ruth batted .378, and the league average was .286. He led the league in on-base percentage with a .512 compared to a .344 league average. He led the league in slugging percentage with an .846 compared to a .394 league average. He had a league-leading 1.359 OPS compared to .737 league average. He broke his own single-season home run record with 59, and also broke the all-time home run record of 123 set by Roger Connor in 1895. He also led the league in RBI with 168, compared to a league average of 4.32, and runs with 177 compared to a 4.89 average. He hit 457 total bases and 119 extra base hits, both of which are single-season records which still stand to this day. His offensive prowess was accentuated by his remarkable consistency. While his home runs made headlines, his ability to hit for average and drive-in runs made him a versatile and feared hitter. He was walked an astonishing 145 times during the 1921 season. His discipline at the plate elevated him to rarefied air. He attracted the attention of scientists from Columbia University, who approached him after a game at the Polo Grounds. They invited him to the university's research laboratory, where they administered a battery of tests to uncover the secret to Ruth's incredible hitting prowess. They poked and prodded at his brain, eyes, ears, and muscles. They found that he was truly superhuman. His reaction times were faster than the average human, his eyes and ears worked quicker, and his nerves were steadier. During the season, Ruth accumulated 12.9 WAR, second of all time for position players, just behind Ruth's own 1923 season. Ruth's Yankees would win the pennant in 1921, but would lose the World Series to John McGraw's New York Giants. Babe Ruth would go on to win 4 more World Series for a total of 7. His statistics jump off the page. His name shows up as a leader in nearly every statistical category. But his 1921 season in particular stands out as a great season among great seasons. As the 1920s ushered in a new era of social change, Ruth emerged as a larger-than-life figure who captivated audiences with his electrifying on-field performance and charismatic off-field personality. In the span of a single season, Ruth shattered records and redefined offense. He set a standard that few could hope to match. That is why Babe Ruth's 1921 season is one of the best seasons in baseball history.